Hello everyone, here is Anna, the founder of Birdhaus Writing and Publishing. Today we are going to dig into the 10 reasons or the most frequent reason why it's so hard to write your first book. Let's start. The first reason why writing your first book is so difficult is because it's the first time. You never did it, so you don't know how to do it and what entails everything. And this is why you need very quickly to embrace the challenge and overcome it. There is always a first time for everything, and writing a book apparently is for you now the first time. Embrace it. The second reason why it's so difficult to write your first book is because it matters. You are going to share with the world your thoughts, your philosophy, your ideas, the way you are writing. You are becoming an author. This is very public and it matters, and this can be a problem. So you need also to overcome this and making sure that you are going to be okay with the fact that you are becoming a public person and what you are going to write is going to be public too. Don't worry, no one is going to judge you. In this moment, you are the only person judging yourself because you still haven't written your book. So you need to move to another level and say, if it's fine, even if this is going to be a big deal, I am going to embrace it and continue. The third reason why writing a book is so difficult is because you don't know how to do it. You don't know the process, and this makes this project even bigger than what it is. Writing and publishing a book is a big project, of course, but if you know what are the steps and you can strategize them, the project becomes smaller, like everything. So it's not that big mountain to climb. It's not that steep. It's just something to do. Getting knowledgeable on the process will help you reduce this fear and continue moving with your book project. Another reason why it's so difficult is because you don't allocate enough time. The typical thing about time is that no one can find time in the agenda. So the first time that you are writing a book, it feels like, I don't have time, my life is too busy. And this is why it's so difficult to write the book, because I cannot find time. This is a bit of a myth. It's about priorities and commitments. So even if you think it's hard, if you check your agenda in your life, there are definitely other things that you can cut out and then dedicate time to your book. And this will actually accelerate the process. So it's not about it's difficult to find time. In this situation, it's about you need to allocate quality time for this project. The fifth reason why it's so difficult to write the first book is because too many people think that you need inspiration. And I always say inspiration doesn't exist. Writer's block doesn't exist. This is lack of clarity and lack of guidance. Once you are clear about why you want to write your book, what is the motivation, who is your audience, how is the outline, when you have clarity of all the processes, there is no writer's block. You just sit down and write on the time that you have allocated. So the inspiration myth is something that holds back people because they think, I need to get inspired to find time and sit down and write. It doesn't work like this. So just override all that mindset, put time in your calendar, be clear on what you want to write and sit down and just write. The sixth reason why it's so difficult to write the first book is because too many people spend way too much time on research. Research is the holy grail of insecurity. The more you research, the more you feel and fuel your insecurities. If you're writing a book on your field of expertise, you should not even need research for a nonfiction. If you are writing a memoir, you don't need research. If you are writing a novel, you don't need research. The research are eventually prior when you need to get knowledgeable. Once you have your idea of a book, then you just write. You put some notes, some here and there to remember while you are going to edit later on. Then you need to search some statistics, some information. But while you are writing, there is no research. And the research is one of the big reasons why then people lost themselves. This is a rabbit hole. You start and you Google and then at the end you haven't put a word in your document, but you have spent hours of browsing whatever the topic that you want at the beginning, and at the end probably you end up in YouTube or in Instagram watching silly videos. 7 cause why it's so difficult to write the first book is because the lack of commitment. I was saying before about the time, the commitment is also similar. However, here is a difference. Usually, when you start to think about a book, it's a solitary thinking. It's you, yourself, with your computer, with your keyboard, and then you are writing, and there is no one else that you are involving. There is no sounding board because you think this is a solitary job. This is the mistake. The commitment, you need to do a commitment with yourself. The best will be also to go and join a team and join a group of other writers like you that are committed to write and publish the book. Because in this way, you can share also your strategies, you can share your struggles, you can ask questions how to do this and how to do that. And having this in a committed way and having a regular base will help you move forward with your project. So this is why at the beginning it's so difficult, because you think it's all alone, but you don't need to be this. You don't do this alone. You can do this also in a accountability group, which is fantastic. And this is why the accountability group exists in the first place. Another reason why you think that writing your first book is so difficult is because you don't have spent enough time thinking about your real reason. You haven't thought about why you want to write your book. What is your motivation? What is the motivation for your audience? What do you want to achieve with this project? It's so important, and you spend time with that and not just open the document and start typing. Why is this? Because this is the motivation, is the fuel that makes sure that your project will continue. You need to be very clear on your whys and your motivation and what you want to achieve. This is a project, and like every project, you need a goal, and then you need a timeline, and you need an achievement, and you need to also to measure if you have successfully achieved this. And to do all of this, you need to spend enough time at the very beginning of the process thinking about that. And if you don't, of course, it's difficult because you don't know where you are going and why, especially why you want to write this book. And if this is not strong enough, the book project will just fade away and then go mixed in other project that actually will lose interest, and you never go back to the book project. Reason number 9 for why it's so difficult to write your first book. Very, very often, first-time writers don't have an outline. If you haven't created an outline, it's very difficult to continue. What is an outline? We can take a very interesting parallelism. For example, you want to go to Paris. You can go with the car, we can go with a train or with a plane or with a bicycle. And depending from what kind of medium you are taking, you are going to see different things. The goal is always Paris, but you need to find a way to go there. And if you go with the bicycle, and you can have different steps, and then maybe place where you want to eat, and then to visit a museum and stuff like this, or you can take a train and go directly there. The outline is basically telling you how you are going to Paris. It's already important that you know that you want to go there, which is what is motivating you and what is the audience. But then you need to define all the steps in between. And the outline helps you with that, so that you know exactly what you want to do. And then, of course, through the journey of the outline, you are going to add other stuff, because this is what makes the book interesting. But you need to have clarity on what you want to do with your book, where you want to bring your audience, and what is the final step. And this is often not the case when someone starts writing a book, because they think, yes, I have inspired, this is the book that is in me, and they start writing, and then they stop. Lack of outline often leads to stop writing your first book. And last but not least, one of the main reasons why it's so difficult to write your first book is because you haven't overcome all your excuses. Excuses, insecurities, this is what make you stop continue your journey. Because at a certain point, the motivation fades away, the insecurity rise up. And there are plenty, most of the time, very easy to overcome, but you need to address them. And insecurities and excuses are like the time we have set and commitment, we have discussed about that. But then there are, I am not a good writer. This book has already been written in a gazillion different ways, and so on, so on. There are plenty of excuses that actually will go through the path, making you reflect and say, okay, this first book maybe is not a very good idea. And then they are fueling your insecurity and you're going to stop. And this is why it's so important that at the very beginning you work on them, because they are coming and rising, and all the journey are coming all the time. And you need to work on them on a regular basis, because if not, your book is never going to see the light of the sun. Now that you know the 10 most frequent reasons why it's so difficult to write your first book, I hope that I could help you to overcome them. If you want to know more about the book process and how to be committed and stuff like this, you can watch the free masterclass of Birdhaus, which is you can find on the link below. If this is not enough, you can always enroll in the online course or send us a message, and then we are going to help you with tailored and strategized advise it for you. Thank you for watching, and I'm looking forward to read one day your book.